Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gunner Talk podcast. Today, we are gonna talk about Arsenal versus Chelsea. Big game tomorrow coming up. Our fifth final Premier League game. Very excited. It's fun talking to absolutely nobody when in the live stream, and just trying to talk to a camera. But I have an Arsenal fan who's going to join me today. So let's jump to that camera to see everybody, to see this beautiful man. This is Austin, from the USA, the US of A. And Austin is going to join me today in talking about this big game. One of our most difficult games between now and the end of the season. A big challenge for Arsenal. Although Chelsea have crap form, they're still a team that can do something, that can produce threat. So thanks very much for being here, Austin. First of all, thanks for yeah, thanks for joining me. It's just so nice to have someone to talk to live. So there's some new graphics. There's some new what's the word? Some new things to look at. I've been hard at work so that I can accommodate Austin. And hopefully this is going to take it to the next level. I'm really excited just to converse with a fellow gunner. So Austin, why don't you tell me and tell all the hundreds of people watching who you are and why you're here. Wow, nice. Yeah. Okay. This is all sound really great, but I've got feedback, which is that you have no sound, which makes me wonder. So let me just have a little look. One sec. Just make sure it's not. Okay. Sorry about that. This is actually the beautiful thing about going live to zero people. It really is, honestly. Let me have a look right now. I trust her, but I just want to check myself. Yeah, you have no sound. Okay, that makes me wonder something real quick. Welcome to the Gunner Talk show, man, where we are just figuring it out. So, that's so interesting. Collab cam. So, audio. Man, can you still hear me? Oh, man. Somehow I've completely lost you, Austin. Yeah, okay, I can see you and hear you now. Now, that is just so weird. Yeah, we're still live. Um, Share video, that's that. That's like mystified me, like that, because I can hear you perfectly, and there's just no reason why. Okay, let me add another audio input. One sec. Device. Hello, test 1 2. But that is not. Okay, I've got to just Google it. Sorry, man. I've got to just Google it. You must have your guest source set to show on stream, which it is. Settings, show on stream. And here, can you speak? That is so weird. I'm staying live because I can use this as a test to, because otherwise there's no way of knowing. Can you speak? Man, that doesn't make any sense to me. Oh. I may have fixed it. Okay, hang on. That is so weird. Gotta wait for the YouTube stream to. I'm staying live because I can use this as a test to. Yeah, say something for me.
Hello.
Oh. I may have fixed it. Okay, hang on. That is so weird. Gotta wait for the YouTube stream to. I'm staying live because I can use this. Okay, we got it. It's just one stupid little finicky setting that just decides to ruin everything. Okay, but we stay live, and that's fine. It doesn't look when you have two. Well, I'd say there's two viewers. One of them's me. One of them's my wife. So when there's nobody watching, it's okay to mess up like this. And I'm just in my learning era, as they say. So we wave it off. We have no stress, and we go again. But so that I have it, and so that if somebody watches this back and sticks through all of that crap, Austin, tell me about yourself one more time. I love what you said. Let's hear it again.
Yeah, just born and raised in America. Didn't really get into soccer or football till later in life, kind of early high school time. Really, me and my friends played a lot of video games, and we started playing a lot of FIFA, and that kind of got me to start watching the Premier League, and eventually kind of fell in love with Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez, Theo Walcott around like 2015-16.
So you got in at the Arsene with the Arsene Wenger, the final season or like last two seasons with Arsene Wenger.
Last 2 seasons, yes.
Sorry, that's a bad time to join Arsenal. To be fair.
So really, I'm from St. Louis, so the St. Louis Rams. We're owned by Stan Kroenke, so that ended up being kind of a sour thing for my city, but
of course
that was my initial like allegiance and like kind of initial connection.
Cool, that makes sense. But you stuck through it. I mean, you were a new fan. Arsene Wenger leaves very early in on your Arsenal fandom journey, and Emery comes in, and that doesn't go well, and then comes Mikel Arteta, and for 3 seasons, it's just like, other than 2019, was it where we won the FA Cup with him?
Yep.
Other than that, it's like, oh my gosh. So what kept you going? Because it would have been so easy to disband and choose someone else.
Well, choosing someone else wasn't an option really after the Rams left. I also wasn't really getting bantered too much about it. I was just kind of like silently watching. Don't really.
Right.
I mean, my friends are starting to get into it now, but initially, no one. I'm not getting a hard time about it. So it was pretty easy to just stick with it. You know, like if they became good again, it would be great. But just still held my allegiance.
Nice. And now you're reaping the rewards, which I love.
Yes.
Well, anyway, thanks
Yes, been
very
great.
much for being here. And so backstory: Austin reached out to me when my account. I act like I've got loads now, but we are on the up. But Austin reached out to me when we had like 50 followers, 55 followers on Instagram. The algorithm knew and sent him my video, and Austin reached out and said, "Hey, I'd love to be a part of it." And I thought, you know what, that's a solid idea. So this is our first episode together, and I'm just stoked. So thanks again, Austin, for being here. So we are going to be talking about the game tomorrow. If you're in the UK and up at 3 a.m. in the morning, it is today for you. But for us in the US, it's still tomorrow. 1 p.m. kickoff here, 2 p.m. for you, Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And, another step in the Premier League title pursuit, one that has to be overcome, one, that we can't afford to slip up on. We know this by now, that absolutely perfection is required if we're even going to have a sniff at lifting the trophy with Man City's class. So let's jump into some team news, because there's been some exciting team news for Arsenal fans in the last couple of days in the lead up to this fixture. So today with Arsenal, we saw Jurrien Timber start with the under-21s against Blackburn Rovers. The game ultimately ended up in a 2-2 draw. But Jurrien Timber got a solid 45 minutes under his belt. And not only that, but rocked my socks and scored a banger in the 9th minute. Well and truly saying to Arsenal fans, don't forget about me. I'm here and I've got something to add. What did you make of Jurrien Timber against Blackburn? Did you get to catch the highlights, or did you see the goal?
Yeah, I thought exactly what you said. Hey, I'm still here. I had a good showing in the first game of the season, but I'm still here, and I can deliver how I need to. I thought he was definitely a little overconfident. Being in a U21 game, you should be,
Yeah.
He's probably not going to be getting too many of those looks, but I think it was a great strike, and if he has that in his bag of tricks, I would love to see that come out in true Premier League fashion.
100%. I will say on your point about he looked kind of overconfident. I would say that's actually just such a good sign, because tearing your ACL, being out for the amount of time that it's such a delicate injury. It's a career-ending injury if not dealt with in the right way. So to see him back on the pitch and that confident, granted under 21s, but nonetheless, it's a full fitness match. He's absolutely going for it, and you can see in his attitude he's loving it, and he's back 100%. So I would say credit to the Arsenal staff behind the scenes for looking after him and nursing that injury back to a place now way ahead of what a lot of those injuries take. Way ahead of schedule. He's back. I don't know. Do you think we could see him play some minutes tomorrow?
Just because. He didn't play full game today, so I don't know. I think that'd be kind of a stretch to see tomorrow. Granted, I think we should have a good control in this game. We'll talk about that later. So I don't think there's a reason to rush him.
Yeah.
Spurs at the weekend is an interesting thought. It's a massive fixture, and he could, be that difference maker that we really need. So.
Yep, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. I saw some fans online getting excited and saying, "Can we get him playing tomorrow? Why not?" I'm like, mate, if you're coming back from an ACL and you play 45 minutes, you're not going to play against Chelsea in the Premier League the next day.
Right.
I really don't expect to see Jurrien Timber. The only possible, I'd be surprised to even see him on the bench. But I was going to say, if we're 5-0 up, maybe he gets 5-10 minutes at the end.
Right.
But. That's the only possible thing, and I don't even see him on the bench, to be honest with you. But I do expect to see him being implemented back into the squad by the end of the season. We've got 5 games. I definitely expect to see him in an Arsenal shirt in the Premier League by the end of the season, which I'm extremely excited about. Other than that, Arsenal team news, there's nothing too much to talk about. Kiwior was dropped. I didn't realise this, but Kiwior was dropped as a precaution Sorry, did I say that right? Or was it Tomiyasu that was dropped as a precaution? It was Tomiyasu.
Tomiyasu.
Tomiyasu was dropped as a precaution when we played against Wolves. I was expecting to see him, but he didn't start. Sorry, instead Kivior started. I mean, credit to Kivior. He didn't have the best game, didn't have the worst game, which I guess is a good game. You know, if you don't mess up, horribly. I mean, he did get beaten, and that led to that fine save by Raya onto the left post. But
it could have been a bad game very quickly.
That's true, but David Raya kind of saved him there. That's 100% true. So Tomiyasu might still be carrying that knock, so not 100% that he's in with a shout of a game tomorrow. But let's move on to Chelsea, because that's the biggest news for this fixture. Pochettino confirming that Cole Palmer is extremely questionable, even unlikely to play tomorrow. Massive news. He's probably the most informed player in the Premier League. Is not short for confidence, even a little bit. Way too confident for my liking. Granted, it's backed. I mean, he's a baller, and he's playing unbelievably. He just
Did you see the Men in Blazers interview with him?
No, tell me.
I mean, it was just a little 6-minute bit. I think they do very good interviews over there, and he just seems very, very, very confident. Like,
do you think like over like a little bit distasteful?
I think to be the striker that he is kind of coming into, I think you do have to be very confident about yourself. That kind of comes with the role.
Yeah.
His finishing is clinical, but he seems like that is the role he needs to be in. I would like him in an Arsenal shirt.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, if he was in an Arsenal shirt, I wouldn't be complaining.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I will say I have respect for him because, he's trying to break into the City team. He scores in the Community Shield. An absolute wonder goal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this boy's on the map. And then surprise, like City sell him to Chelsea. And Palmer's, he's got like a
Chelsea's best business.
Yeah, I mean, he's just incredible in that Chelsea shirt. So I will say, it seems very unlikely that he'll play against us, and I cannot lie to you.
15 goal involvements of their last 24 goals in their last 10 games. So.
He's on 20 goals in the league this year. Tied with Haaland.
11 in his last 10.
It's just 11 goals in his last 10. I mean, the boy is on fire. So the news breaking that he's picked up a knock in the FA Cup semi-final and that he can't play against us is like really good news.
That is like a sigh of relief.
It really is. And so that to me increases my confidence, or at least reduces my nerves when it comes to their threat. And us being able to deal with it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, our back four have had some real tests this season. Haaland is always a test, and we've absolutely muted him. So I'm not saying that Cole Palmer would have been beyond what we could have dealt with, but he definitely makes it trickier. And I know for sure Saliba, Gabriel are looking at that team sheet, not seeing Cole Palmer and thinking, great, not wishing that they were playing against him. So that's big news. Other than that, that's the biggest news. That of course there's still some other. Fofana is still out for Chelsea. There's some other players that are out, but we can expect to see a full Chelsea side except for Cole Palmer tomorrow.
Is Ben Chilwell injured as well?
I don't know 100%. Let's confirm. Ben Chilwell. He played for England.
Because I think he can do damage if he's in. I think he's a.
Do you rate him? Do you?
I do. I just something's wrong with that Chelsea training staff because their right back and left back specifically just cannot stay on the field. So I'm pretty sure Malo Gusto is out as well, who I actually do rate pretty highly.
So it looks like to me the Ben Chilwell is still out. It's not looking like he's playing neither Gusto or Palmer. Oh yeah, sorry. I just saw a headline that made my heart drop because it said Cole Palmer is fit to face Arsenal, but it doesn't. I needed to read the context. It says Pochettino says a decision on whether Cole Palmer is fit to face Arsenal will be made tomorrow, on Tuesday morning, like the day of the game. I'd say it's unlikely. But yeah, no. Of course, you got Gusto out and Chilwell still out. So there you go. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this fixture. Let's talk about the context of the fixture as well as the history of the fixture. And Austin, why you lead us through that?
Yeah. So historically, we have the upper hand here. 18 more wins than them. Arsenal sitting at 80 wins. Chelsea 62.
Is this in head to head?
Yes, head to head all time. 60 draws, 62 wins for Chelsea, 80 for Arsenal.
Okay.
So we definitely have the upper hand historically. In our last 5, we also do 3 wins for us, Chelsea with 1
and a draw
and 1 draw. And Chelsea's 1 win was in 21 at the Emirates, actually. So
okay,
that's interesting. I think we do need to just treat this as a London derby and not really look at where they are sitting on the table.
I tell you, I think you're exactly right with that thought there, because I tried very hard not to look at Bayern Munich's form going into the game, but it was hard not to. It's hard to not look at Bayern Munich lose. They lost against a lower half side the game before they played us, and I thought, you know what, we should be absolutely smashing Bayern Munich.
Right.
I mean, they're in terrible form. They're blowing their leads. They're not scoring goals. I mean, okay, Harry Kane's always scoring goals, but relatively speaking, and I was like, we got it. But I think you're exactly right. We need to not look at their league position, seeing them, where are they right now? Are they 9th, 8th? They've been moving up because they're...
I usually don't scroll down that far, but...
they're currently 9th, yeah. So I was right at first. I mean, they were in 11th for the majority of this season, but they're climbing. Their record has been pretty good in their last 5. They're 3 wins, 2 draws. They've taken, that's 11 points from 15. With some relatively difficult fixtures there. So their current form is good. So looking at their league table, looking at their season overall and saying, Chelsea are crap this year, might not be the smartest thing to do. I think you're exactly right in saying we need to look at this as it is. It's a London derby. It doesn't matter where situationally a team is. When that whistle blows, the emotion is on the pitch. The crowd's riled up. Anything can happen. And Arsenal would do well to be on their best behaviour tomorrow.
Yes, best behavior. This back line needs to play with some poise and really slow them down and control the game, because they're going to try and speed us up. They got an early pen when we played them in October. That kind of took it out of us for the first half. We were kind of had the upper hand as far as possession goes in the first half, and that pen early on really rattled us, and it took us a second, and then they opened up the second half with Mudryk getting a goal, which was
horrible.
Kind of like salt in the wound
horrible
after
to watch.
Our summer transfer saga, and so we really need to control this pace of the game and not let them speed us up, and I think our press will give them an extremely hard time as well.
Yep, I absolutely 100% agree. That game, of course, ending in a draw earlier in the season, we just tied at Stamford Bridge, and Mudryk scoring. I remember that. But then I remember after that game, didn't it break that Mudryk was in tears once he was begging Arsenal to bid more money because he really wanted to come to Arsenal. So I feel bad for the lad. He is starting to pick up. Too. He is starting to pick up a bit of form. But I will say, Mudryk on the pitch against Arsenal, there's no love lost. He wants to show everyone, because he had a really rough start to his Chelsea career. I would still say he's having a rough start. He's not exactly a revelation for them. He's showing glimpses, but he wants to prove to us Arsenal fans that we weren't lucky to miss out on him, that we wanted him, and that maybe we still want him. So I expect to see him playing with some gusto tomorrow.
We had we were willing to pay around 80 million for him in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like our final bid, and then it seems like that for transfer rumors like upcoming, that seems like that's just kind of gone away.
Yep.
I know I've seen a little bit about Elise, but if we're gonna drop 80 million, don't know if Mudryk was gonna be the guy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And yeah, transfers, summer transfers, what we need to do. We should talk about that. On. Oh, I've lost you. I've lost my mate. All right, let me just see what happened there. Let me get Austin back right here, and let's move on to some. That's so weird. Let's just try getting back in. How strange was that? I closed my eyes for 1 second, and he's a goner. Yeah, to anybody watching that isn't family and can be patient with me, if there is anybody, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I'm trying to increase the level of this stream, increase the quality, and by so doing, it does mean that, yeah, sometimes things go wrong technically. Here he is. Let me get him back in here. So Austin's here, showing stream. There he is. Hopefully we can hear you, Austin. Yeah. Let me just make sure that these properties I am monitoring and outputting. Correct. Okay, yeah, I like look down for 1 second and then I look up and it's a black screen. I'm like, wait, what? I was like, oh, his Mac probably died. I don't know. I don't have like a streaming PC. I have a pretty powerful laptop, but I think sometimes my RAM can get worked, and I've seen that. So I'm looking in the market for a streaming PC to nullify some of these technical difficulties. Anyway, okay, so back onto where we were. So look, let's talk about the Arsenal lineup and what we expect to see. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and try and share my screen here so that you can see this as well. And we're going to build together our Arsenal starting 11. You see that, Austin?
Yes.
Wicked. So let's start with the obvious. Ramsdale in goal. No, I'm joking. Do you think Ramsdale stays through the summer?
Like I've said, for like transfer talks, that I think we're looking to spend a lot, and I've seen that Kroenke's back, so I think we need to have some money coming in as far as financial fair play goes. So I definitely see him leaving this summer.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, as you know, Raya is one of those stepping stone players that has taken us from, I'd say D to C or even D to B, if I'm being, kind. But he's not the person, I think, to take us from B to A. And David Raya certainly is that. But that does mean that we're going to need to invest in probably a young goalkeeper who's hungry, that shows the qualities that David Raya exhibits, that fits Arteta's style of play, has confidence with his feet. So it'll be interesting to see what the Arsenal recruitment team does there. Let's go right back. Are we having any arguments?
No.
All right, let's fill in. I always like to fill in our concrete blocks, I call them. They're our set in stone players. So let's have the left back conversation right now. So if we've got, is it? Oh my gosh, what's the name of the Chelsea right wing? Is it not Madueke? Is it? What's his name?
Yeah, Madueke.
Yeah. Who are you starting here in this left back position for Arsenal?
I do not really rate Madueke. I personally think either of these guys here could kind of handle him. um, pretty easily. I would probably lean Tomiyasu as far as defense goes, but if Tomiyasu had a little knock, I would
Yeah.
ask you this: if Arteta wants to do like a rotating like left back, maybe like a 60th minute sub, who would you rather have start that in that
Yeah,
position?
it's a good question. So here's what I think Arteta will be trying to do tomorrow. Um, he will be doing what he always does, which is try to dominate the game completely.
Yeah.
Which means no matter how spunky the attack may feel, we're going to try and nullify them completely.
Yeah.
I think that this debate or discussion here about this left back scenario for this game should be relatively irrelevant, because I think that we're going to be looking to be pummeling their attack, pummeling their goal and scoring goals, not giving them even a sniff. So I would actually like to see Zinchenko start this game.
Yeah.
The reason being is because I think that of all of our left backs, he offers the most going forward. And I think that this is a game that we can dominate. We're at home. And I think that Zinchenko will get a lot of possession. And I want to see that cutting edge pass. I don't love Zinchenko. Every time he gets the ball, my heart will be in my mouth. But going into these last 5 games, I want everybody feeling as confident as possible. So if this is a game where Zinchenko can get his teeth stuck in and have an influence, and he has a chance to do something, for 60 minutes, let's get him on the pitch. And if it turns out to be a little bit of a tighter game than we think, then bringing in Tomiyasu for that 30 minutes would be good. This might be a game where I omit Kivior completely.
I really agree with that analysis. I agree that we're going to suffocate them. Our press is just so good.
Yeah.
And I think they will have trouble playing out of the back. They do not have a healthy back line. There's going to be some second string players in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree.
Love it. So let's move on
Could
to
be a confidence booster for Zinni here.
I think it's really needed. So let's Declan Rice, of course, up there with Captain O right there.
Yep.
Hopefully pulling the strings, waving his magic wand the way he does when he has a game. And I tell you what, Ødegaard has found some fine form going into this last few weeks of the season. I'm really happy to say that because there was a spell of like 8-9 games earlier on in the season, the December slump, where we lost 2 on the trot or 2 in quick succession was definitely. I mean, Ødegaard's lack of form, had a bit of an injury, definitely contributed to that. Let's just fill in. Does Saka play or does he get a rest?
So I would really like Saka to, start a game, start a London derby for sure. But I would, like you said, if we're just battering them and, we're up maybe 2-0 at half, 3-0 at half, I would not mind seeing him getting pulled in the 45th minute.
Yeah, and the sub there, do you want to see Reiss Nelson or how about a Fabio Vieira?
I'm really fine with either.
Let's go Nelson.
Reiss, I think we might do some business on Reiss this summer, maybe sell Reiss.
I think 100%.
I think it could be a good spot for him to get playing time, if we're in a comfortable position, maybe give him a little bit of time to shine.
Yeah.
But I think Fabio Vieira is probably going to stay with our squad. I don't see him
so as well.
Sold. So I would also love to see him get in.
I agree. Maybe if the game goes the way we want it to go, maybe a bit of Vieira in for Ødegaard. Maybe he can play that playmaker role, and we can give our captain a little bit of a rest. Now this shaky variable left side that can just be played so many different ways. We've got a lot of quality here, and it still feels like Arteta hasn't quite found his 100%. I would say that he's found his 90%.
Yes.
But it still feels like there's always, sometimes the team sheet comes out. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing today. It's not like the starting 11 is set in stone every time. So where are you going in terms of our striker, our number 9?
Probably going with Kai.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I just think he's Arteta's favorite. I think Arteta plays, a lot,
And the
likes him a
occasion,
lot.
I would be as
Oh yeah, I didn't
daring
even
to
think
say
about
Jorginho and Havertz have got to start, man.
definitely starting. I can't believe that didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, I think they've got to start. They're playing against their team that,
Yeah, they
I
have
mean,
to.
their old team. I think that they're both so happy in an Arsenal shirt. I think they're so happy they moved away from Chelsea at the
They
right
jumped
time.
ship.
And you know what? They went from a manager that didn't believe in them, a fan base that didn't believe in them, calling them washed, cooked, all these things, to a fan base that appreciates them and is excited about them. And so I think they want to show the fan base of Chelsea, look, you guys were so wrong about us. So those are the two that I'd be playing. I will say that Thomas Partey should get some minutes tomorrow.
I was about to ask you that. Yeah, maybe 60th minute for Jorginho.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's put them both there because he could just go. He could be either. I think Declan Rice. What will happen is if Thomas Partey comes in, Declan Rice will have a bit of freedom to play forward.
Absolutely.
A little bit, so that they will put them both in here because we'll just see what happens in the game. But I'd love to see him get some minutes. I think if he can hit a spell of form, he will be huge for us towards the end of the season. I think the Partey could go, but there's also a possibility that he doesn't. He's just so injury prone and he has so much to offer. I don't know who's going to want him. I don't know if he's going to want to go. So I don't know. Minutes for Thomas Partey is just a good thing, in my opinion.
Absolutely. His through ball ability, that incisive pass, is something that I think Declan Rice kind of lacks.
Yeah.
So I think he offers that pass where he can play Declan on a ball or Havertz or Odegaard playing up. I just really rate his passing ability.
Completely agree. Let's go left wing. Where are we going, man? What you start this off?
I'm gonna stick with the man in the best form at Arsenal with Leandro Trossard right now. So, I think my point is pretty clear. He's just been clinical for us, putting the ball in the back of the net, making really good runs. Seems to have good link-up play with Odegaard, and yeah,
it's a hard balance, isn't it? Because I think that Mikel Arteta absolutely needs to reward form, and I think that this is a game where Trossard, we're going to need some finishing, and Trossard is, I think, the best finisher in our squad, and I think, look, it'd be harsh to start Martinelli to Trossard, so Martinelli needs to come on, and I think that's what we will expect to see again around the 65th minute. We'll expect to see Martinelli come on. And until Gabriel Martinelli does something, until he shows something, I would be starting Trossard.
Absolutely. I think Martinelli is just, love the guy, but has lost his spot in the squad at the moment, for sure.
Which I just never thought would / could happen. But thank goodness that we invested well in January last year and bought in Trossard. He's been a fantastic signing for Arsenal.
Not talked about enough about how good.
I completely
in the
agree.
general media is not talked about enough about how good a business that was.
So there's Austin and Jack starting at 11 for the Arsenal game tomorrow against Chelsea. I like it. I'd be most excited to see Jorginho and Havertz play against their former club and absolutely tear it up. Seeing Kai Havertz score and I'm sure celebrate at Stamford Bridge will inject it in the veins. I would love to see that. So that's where I'm going for that right there. So let's talk about score predictions and then let's wrap this thing up. It's getting late for you. I get late for me as well. We've had some technical issues, which has made this go a little bit longer. But let's talk about score predictions. Let's start off with you, Austin. What do you think?
I have a 3-0 win to the Arsenal. I think that our back line kind of had a morale boost after that last game. We had, a couple questionable plays, but walking out of Molineux with a 2-0 win and a clean sheet is great. Hopefully we can build off of that and create some good form. I just need our back. I can't do it anymore. Like, my heart drops a lot with this back line, or has been recently.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating when you see them be so stable for so long, and then they just have these little slip ups, and it's really just self-induced and not
It really is.
anything the other team's doing. So need to see that, and I think if that happens, I have no doubt about our front six that
Yep.
will be able to batter them on the press, really give them a hard time. And I think we don't score well on like a 2 to 3 chances. We usually need like 5 to 6, but I think once we get one, it'll be a snowball effect.
Are you going for a Kai Havertz hat trick, or are you going for a spread of the goals?
I would love to see. I mean, hat trick would just be amazing, but I would just love to see a Jorginho to Havertz goal.
Oh, could you
Like that.
imagine?
Yeah, that would be the best.
That really would be.
I think Saka could bag one pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then that's the fun thing about predicting with Arsenal is we have goal scorers from every facet. So
Yeah, and we've that's shown in our stats. Bukayo Saka's our top goal scorer with 14 goals, and then then Trossard, and then Odegaard, and goals come from all avenues. I mean, when we score, they're shared. So I would be surprised to see a Kai Havertz hat trick, because we are, when we get to play our game, when Mikel Arteta gets his way, it's not just dominate the right side. It's not just dominate the left side. It's like one attack, let's go left. One attack, let's go right. Then let's go direct. Then it's this. Then it's set pieces. And then Gabriel gets on the on the score sheet. And then Saliba gets on the score. And then you get Zinchenko, who gets his 1 or 2 goals a season from outside the box. Or Ben White pops up with a goal.
I would love to see a Declan Rice just rip also. Like, just... Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm with you on your prediction in terms of the result. Arsenal win. I see a 4-1. I hate to predict a goal against us, but just with the form of our centre backs, I do think those 7 wins now away with a clean sheet does do really good things for our confidence. I just see. Look, football's crazy, and I see Chelsea putting one past us.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'm wrong. I'll be so happy to be wrong. But I do see a comfortable win, 3-goal deficit again. Kai Havertz on the score sheet. Jorginho with a couple assists would make me really happy, and of course Saka there as well. So that's my predictions. Finally, let's just talk about the importance of this game, what it can do for our momentum. Who do we have coming up after Chelsea? Spurs, exactly. So let's talk about that. It's important.
So I'm grateful that we don't have. Sometimes I feel like when you have like the North London Derby coming up, it can be like kind of a look ahead spot. You kind of are already looking to that fixture, but I'm grateful that we have like a London Derby right before that as well. I think we will be focused on this game because it is Chelsea.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe if it was like a Fulham at home or something, like it's still a London Derby, but maybe not to the caliber of playing at Chelsea. So I'm grateful that we are playing them when we are right before Spurs, and it will give us some confidence to paint London red again.
Yeah, I love that. I'll say another point that should just be mentioned is, this is our second game between a Man City Premier League game. We're top of the table right now by 1 point. Yeah. We win again tomorrow, and we pile the pressure on them. Pep Guardiola has been in the headlines this week for complaining about the amount of fixtures that he's got, and it's true. That's what it takes to be a top quality side. They have a game every three days, and they're struggling. He said that the boys are looking tired. I heard a lot of fear in his voice, and that makes me say, Arsenal, go 4 points clear. Go 4 points clear at the top of the table. Ignore the fact that they've got games in hand. Pile the pressure on Man City. It's pivotal that we do that. And put the ball in their court and make them earn this trophy. Do everything we can to stop them. We win every single game, and we look at them in their performances, and I'm excited to see what could happen. So this is a big game in terms of that, going 4 points clear at the top of the table. It's a huge confidence booster for Arsenal, and it's also a thing that Man City players will be looking at and be like, mate, we've got to respond. So I love that personally. I am going to go ahead and call it. I'm going to thank you very much for being here, Austin. It's been a joy to converse and talk with another fan. This was the point of the Gunner Talk show, is to connect Arsenal fans with other Arsenal fans, and I'm the person that benefits from that straight away. So thanks very much, Austin, for reaching out. I'm really glad that you're able to jump on. It will not be the last time that you're on here, not even at all. I don't know what it will look like going forward, whether it's very frequent, whether it's just every now and then. I still got to think about it, and we'll see. We'll see where we go. But I've loved having your insight. You add something to the conversation for me. You give me things to think about. So this, once again, just thanks. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to being back on the show. And thought your point about Pep was really good. I didn't hear that presser, so that's you're right. We do need to just put the ball in their court and make them sweat a little bit.
Yes, sir. All right, man. I think we hit everything in our itinerary. So, guys, thanks very much for joining in. Or if you watch this afterwards, you probably won't. But Austin and I've had a great little chat about Arsenal.
Yeah.
So, thanks very much for being here, mate. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. You have a good night. And you Gunner fans, come on, you Gunners. Up the Gunners. North London forever. All the things you want to say. Big game tomorrow. I will be here for a live watch along. Austin, if you want to join in the chat and give your thoughts, or we'll just be texting about it. Maybe you join in for the watch along. I'm not all set up for that, so we'll see what we do. But cool. Nonetheless, big game tomorrow. I look forward to it. So thanks very much, everyone. Have a nice night.
Have a good one.